Alrighty, so it's 4 in the morning, and I just woke up to read the Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 236 spoilers, and as I said last week, Sukuna had some ass pull, and just to get into it, Gojo seemingly dies and gets killed by Sukuna, so let's get into the spoilers. So the chapter opens up with a Gojo flashback, which already was a red flag. We know how these things go in anime. And it's essentially Gojo talking to his old group of high school friends that we all see in the flashbacks, this being just people like Geto, Haibara, Nanami, etc. And he's talking about how, although he gave everything he had to fight Sukuna, Sukuna was still holding back in the end, or holding back something, didn't go all out, which is just disappointing to hear, honestly. We see Geto being upset that he's not there for Gojo's final moments, with Gojo also having this sentiment of satisfaction that he was able to go all out himself, but he said he felt bad that Sukuna couldn't, which again is just stuff I don't want to be hearing, but nonetheless it's what he's saying here. Nanami briefly talks about his final moments and everything, thinking back to Haibara. And we see Gojo saying that he wishes Geto was there to cheer him on, and him imagining him amongst the crowd before he went to go fight Sukuna. When all his students were cheering him on, he imagined Geto being there as well, so it shows how much he cared about him in the end. During the not so much flashback, but rather the vision of Gojo and his friends, Nanami does say that when dying, you have two options. One is to move north and find a new side of yourself, the other moving south and staying the same you. Now, this is possibly referring to going north as becoming a cursed spirit, and south just dying, being the person that you were. So, with Gojo saying goodbye to everyone, this could be implying that he's gonna become a cursed spirit, and I'm not quite sure. This is just a theory I just read. I'll probably do a video further explaining that, but nonetheless, some more copium, I guess. Apparently, I'm seeing like a little picture of Toji somewhere in the background of this image, which I don't know if he's actually there, if that's him, but it's just kind of hilarious. Gojo just can't get away from Toji, neither can the story. Toji just keeps seemingly showing up. Maybe his last good deed in Shibuya got him into heaven or something. After the flashbacks, we see Yuji's reaction as well as Sukuna just standing there. We see Yuta and Maki having to kind of put a hand on his shoulder, and he just looks extremely pissed off and upset. I hope Yuta gets some shine coming up and gets some hits in on Sukuna, since clearly Yuji and Yuta care about Gojo so much, and they're pretty much like his sons essentially. Gojo saved both of their lives, so it makes sense, and he was their teacher. So after seeing their reaction, and hearing Sukuna's monologue about how he used Maharaga's adaptation to Void, and specifically Gojo's infinite void as a blueprint to which he was able to adapt to it himself and finally cut through it. He said that his slashes literally just break through space itself and the entire world, so even infinite void wasn't able to stop it in the end after he had Maharaga's blueprint to work from in order to break through infinite void. I guess that kinda makes sense, whatever. And then we see Gojo slashed in half with his torso and legs still standing against Sukuna, and then the rest of him laying on the ground as he looks up at the sky, looking dead, blood coming from his mouth and all. Not a fun sight. Sukuna says he'll never forget him. The chapter then ends with Kashimo rushing onto the battlefield since he was extremely excited. He wants to fight Sukuna more than anything and use his cursed technique on him, which we never saw him use in his previous fights. So yeah, it makes sense that he'd be the first to rush in. After him, I'm sure it'll be like Yuta or someone, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. I'm hoping Gojo survives somehow and finishes off Sukuna in some way, but I think right now we're gonna get some of these other battles against Sukuna, like Kashimo, Yuta, etc., Maki jumping in there. So yeah, that's it for this chapter. Pretty shocking stuff to wake up at 4 in the morning to reading, honestly. I was literally having dreams about the spoilers and what was gonna happen, and this was not quite that, but nonetheless, it's not too shocking since Gojo's presence in the story does cause a big problem narrative-wise because of how powerful he was. But I don't like the fact that Sukuna apparently couldn't go all out regardless against him, or didn't at least, to save some technique for the others. It's just really disappointing. If you did enjoy this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Comment if you think I'm just, breathing in the copium with wanting Gojo to survive or thinking he may survive here, but we'll see what happens. If you did enjoy, please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.